So if the interpreters allow me just for a minute, I mean, just for him, though, you might still need. So, hello, everybody. So, as you know, my name is Claudia. So I want to thank the deaf community for coming out tonight. So thank you so much. And well, I hope you're ready for the ride. One of my instructors told me a while ago in one of my trainings that you should come with clean hands to present to your yoga practitioners. So just in case somebody will decide to leave the room, that maybe this presentation is not for you, please read carefully, just in case. So, the beginning of my yoga journey, where everything started. And if there are yoga instructors here, please bear with me. There I was many years ago with my free pass, my husband and I, free tickets for a yoga class. First time we know nothing about it. Class was supposed to start at 7, and we are showing up like around 7:02. Door is closed, so we're knocking on the door. And there comes the instructor opens the door with an expression that is not exactly a representation of the yoga spirit, I would say it that way. And that's how everything started for me. And then it's when I experienced the first yoga high. I was lucky that the instructor was awesome. I was able to go through this amazing class, and when I finished, I was like, what is this? It feels kind of nice. I mean, I'm not hyper, but I'm happy. It's kind of unique. So that triggered this aha moment for me. What about incorporating yoga into counseling? I thought that I was invading the wheel back then, but after I started to look at the research, I figured out that definitely I was not the first one to think about this. So, of course, I thought, okay, I guess I have to go for my yoga teacher training, my first yoga teacher training. And again, 2011, then I went for my yoga teacher training, and by the look on my face, you can tell how much I was enjoying this experience, really thinking, oh my God, I have to do all these poses, and there were so many technicalities involved about performing a given pose and everything. And I have to say that I got a little bit lost within the technicalities of performing asanas. There was something that brought me into seeking my yoga teacher training, but then I was thinking about, okay, I need to look like a pretzel here, so people, when they come to my class, they will see, oh my God, she's a great instructor. And I truly believe that many yoga instructors and practitioners get stuck in this part, in the asanas, which is just one aspect of yoga, of the yoga philosophy. But later on, I found what I was looking for. So you can see, years later, I was just showing up hand yoga. There was no need anymore. I was mature enough to figure that I didn't need to perform that much. So I had enough experience to understand that what I believe it was the real meaning of yoga, at least for me. And I was finally able to understand that yoga was not only about showing this beautiful pretzel-like form, but instead guiding people, guiding individuals to discover that inner magic, their strength. That aha moment that I had at the very beginning, I wanted everybody else to have it. But what is yoga? Yoga has been practiced in Eastern cultures for many, many years, quite a few years. Yoga was initially a practice of physical exercise, and now is not really now, for at least for the last decade or more, has been seriously considered by science as something way more than physical exercise, and is being used to treat a variety of disorders, especially in mental health. So the ancient book, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, is what talks about the yoga philosophy and the 8 limbs of yoga. So yamas, the niyamas, asanas, which are actually the physical posture, what we are actually used to, practice. Pranayama, very important, and later on I will actually explain to you more details about this. Pratyahara, turning inwards. Dharana, concentration. Dhyana, meditation. And samadhi, which is the union of the self with object of meditation. But now, I named this presentation Yoga for the Soul, and basically how does yoga really relate to counseling? And I discovered that out of many therapeutic styles in counseling, generally speaking, the medical world is based, the mental health world is based on a medical model, which fractions people. Like, you have an issue with your arm, what's happening? Does your arm hurt? You have an issue, with your heart? Okay, let's check out the heart. So breaks down the body. Instead, yoga sees the person as a whole. What's happening with you inside and outside. Goes to the root of the problem. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the most prevalent styles of therapeutic in counseling, and it has been extensively researched through many years. So you go Google and you could just write CBT and you're going to be overwhelmed with everything that you will find. But if we go a little bit beyond that, what CBT really does, CBT's main approach is change what you think and what you do to change the way you feel, in very simple words. In yoga, by practicing and developing to focus our minds, we also learn to change the way we process data from our environment. And that will produce changes in the way we think, and therefore, in the way we feel. So there we have this overlap between yoga and CBT. So we already saw how yoga targets change in the way we feel. Now, the yamas, the self-regulating behaviors, allow us to change or to consider behavioral changes, and the niyama targets not only what we feel, but very importantly, especially in mental health, how we feel it in our bodies. So after you have seen this magic of yoga, there you go. So current facts about yoga practice in the Western world. Who is practicing yoga? Research has shown that yoga users tend to be primarily female, Caucasian, younger, and college educated. Hatha yoga still is one of the most popular practices in North America. Frequently is the one that you will come across in many studies. Most of the studies actually focus in these 3 specific parts of yoga, which are the asanas, the posture, the pranayama, the mindful breathing, and the dhyana, the meditation. A large-scale survey has shown that self-reported benefits are very common, not only in mental health, but also in the musculoskeletal conditions. So most studies reported that yoga helped several symptoms. And as you can see, because individuals are already using yoga to self-manage, and other people hear about this, they started to get into yoga as a form of, self-managed mental health conditions. I can't even count the number of times that I have talked to either yoga instructors or people who practice yoga, and there is always some story. How did I start yoga, or why, or how yoga helped me when I was going through A, B, and C, like countless. So what's up really with yoga? As I mentioned, there are three main things that are in this culture, Western culture, are considered about yoga, which is this power triad of movement, breath, and meditation. So practitioners of yoga learn to combine the physical challenges of exercise, you know, the asanas, the poses, with the mindful exercises of breathing and self-awareness. So if you have the type of instructor like my dear Hillary here, whose class is just amazing, she will get you into the movement combined with the breathing and how you are thinking or feeling about yourself in that very given moment. And that overall is reported to improve well-being. And I mentioned this already, most of the research focuses on these three main aspects. Pranayama, which is the mindful breathing, a lot to pay attention here for sure. So breathing is integral to the body-mind connection. And breath-coordinated movements range from aerobic activities, slow meditation, and even sitting meditation. Regardless, breathing is a unique component of the autonomous system, and so it can be functioned unconsciously, it can be controlled by the mind to one's benefit. So this is a very interesting aspect. Like I remember several years ago, I was in this neuro-linguistic programming training, and we actually were engaging into different types of breathing. And depending on the type of breathing, that generated a specific type of feeling. Like suddenly I was feeling angry and I didn't know why. It's because I was trying, okay, what if you follow this type of breathing? So don't take your breathing for granted. Besides being vital for you to survive, it also is very, very well connected to your sense of well-being, to your emotions. So slow, relaxed breathing can benefit insomniacs, for sure, leading to more restful sleep, as well as benefit asthma sufferers and people prone to panic attacks. Oh, Bob Forbes, I love her. Neuropsychologist and yoga instructor. So breathing has direct emotional consequences. Shallow, irregular breathing can increase heart rate, raise blood pressure, speed up the mind, and knock your nervous system out of balance. So now that you know you have this power, and this is interesting, learn to use it to your benefit. So as well-known Yogi Iyengar says, breath is the king of the mind. Meditation. I like to call it grounding because I come across a lot of people that say, I can't meditate. I just can't concentrate. I try to not to think, but everything keeps popping up. And I'm like, wait a second, slow down. Before you run, you learn how to walk. And before you walk, you were probably crawling. So I like calling it grounding, because you start developing this sense of, okay, first just start, breathing, chill out. Now maybe try closing your eyes. Now maybe try, and you walk slowly. And suddenly people come up with, oh, I think I meditated. Oh, yeah, well, what happened? You told me you couldn't meditate, you couldn't concentrate. I don't know, I just know that I wasn't sleeping, but I wasn't awake. And time just flew by. I'm like, oh, so you said you couldn't meditate. There you go. So, although there are many forms of meditation, they are all ancient in origin and for sure associated to healing, spiritual growth, and enlightenment. Meditation is practiced by hundreds of people around the world and has been called self-regulating strategy. And I don't know if any of you have had this experience, but really when people say, okay, just sit and just breathe, calm down, and you actually do that, and it works, at least for a bit. Meditation appears to have positive health benefits, particularly for psychological disorders in which stress plays a primary or complicating role. All the information that I'm presenting tonight is actually backed up by science, and Amber, probably you have the copy, Amber, of the resource list. If somebody wants to access to it, you guys can get in contact with. I email it to you. So, no, I mean, if somebody needs it, please, you can contact Amber.
I have an email list,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll send it to you.
Movement, asanas. So undoubtedly, the last contentions of yoga foundations associated to health stems from research on physical fitness. A lot of people come to, let's say, hot yoga or power yoga because they are thinking about, okay, I need to work out. And I always think, I don't care what brought you to yoga. What's important is what's keeping you coming to yoga. So one of the reasons for many people is physical fitness, and well, it's part of it. And of course, there is plenty of evidence that link physical activity and reduce risk of numerous chronic diseases. There is absolutely no doubt that exercise in general is very beneficial, but also regular exercise versus yoga, because at some point I thought, okay, but what if I go for a run or for a yoga class? I mean, hot yoga class or a power yoga, I'm exercising. Both should be equally beneficial. But I discovered that with regular exercise, if you're going through stress, yeah, at the beginning it can help you, but if you engage into some sort of sport that is somehow competitive, that actually can raise your cortisol levels. Versus in yoga, you can still have the workout, but there is a synchronicity with movement and breathing that would actually lower your cortisol, your stress hormone. So, just to keep in mind. And, well, musculoskeletal fitness is associated with physiological benefits, and interestingly, these components are actually present in yoga as well. So, common misconceptions about yoga. And I love this because everybody who, think about engaging into yoga philosophy or becoming a yoga instructor, or you're a brand new yoga instructor, you may be thinking, do I have to be vegetarian and drink kombucha? Well, personally, not really. Do I have to be a Buddhist and wear mala beads? I love mala beads, by the way, but they look awesome, I think. Do I have to be able to perform pretzel-like poses? Do I have to in order to be considered, a yoga instructor? No, I don't think so. Do I need to wear some popular specific line of yoga apparel? Nobody knows what I'm talking about, right? Well, I go to Winners. And probably the one I have come across the most, and you may have heard, I'm sure, that perfect round yoga booty. Working on it. Okay, but now, what research says about yoga? And that's why I want to remind you, you want more details. I wasn't able to include everything in tonight's presentation, but there is a resource list. Well, first of all, this topic is quite difficult to study. Many studies are either low in quality or small samples, low statistical power. But at some point I thought, okay, what if I want to actually do this research? I'm going to have my control group. They will be doing yoga. Perfect. And then I have this other group who are supposed to be doing something. They have to believe that they are doing yoga, but it's not really yoga. So it has to be a mindful movement. So what do I do? Like a chicken dance, sort of mindful? I don't know. They have to believe that they are doing something. And no, that wouldn't work. So yeah, even though there is always benefits reported about the yoga practice, it's difficult to measure, really how much it is. Undoubtedly, anyways, yoga has shown plenty of benefits in an infinite list of mental health conditions. As I said, depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, trauma, insomnia, just to name a few. And there is a specific resource that is in the resource list that is a major, major big review out of this year. So in case you want details about each one of them, you will find them there. The extent of the benefits related to the practice of yoga will vary depending on, let's say we are studying depression. Okay, is this group having medications versus the non-medications? You know, results will vary significantly. So now how yoga works. We have been talking, oh, this is wonderful, let's do yoga, let's be mindful and breathe and everything. So the review of the literature suggests that yoga practice can impact multiple systems within the body to affect wellness and to increase resilience. The strongest evidence in both quality and quantity is related to yoga's positive effects on hormone regulation, including salivary cortisol, elevating mood through increase of serotonin. So these type of studies are actually quite interesting. I came across some studies actually where taking salivary cortisol before the class and right after the class, and the results were quite interesting. Definitely benefits. In terms of the nervous system function, yoga is believed to directly influence the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So the response after breathing, visualization, and physical postures increase the response that allows you to relax, to chill out, the parasympathetic nervous system. So yoga and the mind-body connection. Because when I went through all this research, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like yoga is super nice, it makes you feel good, but why? What's happening here? And then I slowly transition into what's happening behind, which really belongs to this area, which is the yoga and the mind-body connection. And I actually love this quote here. I think it's fantastic, and it really reflects my experience in yoga and what I have heard from people that have come to my class or that I met for individual sessions. In fact, the body-mind connection is integral to the practice of yoga and implied by its name. The Sanskrit translation of yoga means to unite, referring to the melding of body, mind, and spirit. So when I was going crazy thinking about, okay, but what about this? Yeah, I used to hear mind-body connection. You hear it all the time. There are tons of books out there that talk about mind-body connection. But I wanted to go to the root. Where is this really, the research starting from this? And I came across this amazing woman, neuroscientist and pharmacologist, who was considered the mother of psychoneuroimmunology and the goddess of neuroscience. And she actually wrote this amazing book that is called Molecules of Emotion. If you really want to get into heavy stuff about the mind-body connection, well, read that book because it's fantastic. What she says is that emotions are always regulating what we experience as reality. Most of our body-mind attentional shifts are subconscious. We are usually not consciously involved in what gets processed, remembered, and learned. But we have the possibility of bringing some of these decisions into consciousness, particularly with the help of various types of intentional training that have been developed precisely with this goal in mind, to increase consciousness. And this is something that certainly happens in a yoga class and with the right instructor. Through visualization, for example, we can increase blood flow into a body part and thereby the ability of oxygen and nutrients to carry away toxins and nourish the cells of that specific part. And remember that this is all backed up by science. Another woman that I really love, and I had the opportunity to meet her when she came once to Vancouver a few years ago. I had a workshop with her. And this amazing book she wrote, Yoga for Emotional Balance, which is a pretty nice and easy book for everybody to read. She says the mind filters all our emotional experiences, such as happiness, worry, or sadness. Sometimes it does so in negative ways. It can paint us as losers, and the world is so a difficult place, or life is having no meaning. Then it can grab onto these filter emotions and treat them as if they were true. Yeah, sure, I think I'm a loser. That's my reality. That's how I will perceive the world. So the mind's version of reality affects the body. The body in turn influences the mind. And again, I want to actually tell you that all of this can actually happen within a yoga class as well. If you have an instructor whose beliefs are, push it, go harder, you may feel, okay, you may perceive your environment, your reality at that moment, this is difficult. I can't do this. There you go, your mind turning against you, affecting your emotions. So both the mind and the body, anxiety and depression, for example, shows often as muscular tension, relaxations, and changes in the heart rate and illness. Just food for thought. The body feels emotions too. It speaks its pain as clearly as the mind, just not verbally. And please keep this in mind, just not verbally. How many times you have come across, you have this feeling that you don't really know how to explain it, but you feel it somehow in your body. Either butterflies in your stomach, or that heaviness in your chest. However, it's difficult for you to put it in words. And Dr. Bruce Lipton, developmental cell biologist. He tells us the brain is the chemist in the body. The more control we have over our minds, the more power we have in our lives. The mind is everything. So the brain takes the life experiences and turns it into chemistry and sends that information all through the body. So the chemistry released in your brain while practicing yoga is the type of chemistry that enhances the growth of cells. During this yoga class where you love your instructor, Hillary, and everything nice is being told about what you do, what you feel, whatever, what do you think your brain is going to be doing? Sending you these tones of loving chemicals all over you. Think about, you get this phone call. Phone rings, and you get bad news. You're hearing something. And think the cascade of emotions and chemicals that are happening. You may start sweating. You will have your heart going crazy just because of what you heard. So your mind got something, and then sent all this cascade of emotions all over through your body, because you will understand then consciously, okay, yeah, I'm sad because I heard this, but also your body will react along with your emotion and your thoughts. So the practice of yoga is not just an exercise. It's an ability to reprogram the health of our cells as long as there is a loving environment. And again, you're in a nice yoga class who is really pushing you to feel better about yourself, to see the world in a different way, to understand the meaning of having this self-time. There you go. You will have an amazing experience all through your body. And of course, I couldn't leave behind our dear Gabor Mate. When you shut down emotions, you're also affecting your immune system, your nervous system. So the repression of an emotion, which is usually a survival strategy, then becomes a source of physiological illness later on. Because the way that we perceive our environment, we have stress, bad news, literally, we feel under attack. And your body will respond to that. Heart rate, sweating. You know, we're under attack. Either it's because there is a bear about to eat us, or because I'm really stressed about finishing my final paper. Mind-body connection, again and again. What is happening behind the scenes? The nervous system, to start, is a gateway to healing, facilitates or prevents change from happening. Your limbic system, your emotional body, deals with the way that we respond to emotions. Your immune system protects you, responds to danger and intrusion from the outside world. And the outside world could not necessarily be that bear that is about to eat us, but it could be an argument with a loved one. The enteric nervous system, one of my favorite, belly brain, located in your gut, autonomous, makes its own hormones. Your gut can actually make serotonin to make you feel good, can make endorphins to protect you against pain, connects and communicates with the nervous system in the brain and the spinal cord. So often in some of my restorative classes, I place a prop in people's belly when they are lying on their back. I don't say much, I just said, test how you feel, and if you don't like it, we can remove it. And then at the end of the class, it's like, why did you put that on my belly? And I'm like, why? I don't know, but it felt so good. Uh-huh. Well, there you go. Your enteric nervous system is telling you, I like it. Pain pathways, experiences and response to pain, chronic pain disorders. The reason why I'm bringing all this up is because in a yoga class, you can target all these areas. Your visceral body, your internal organs are non-verbal. So if you're having that tension that you feel in your stomach, can I stop? Can I have a dialogue with your stomach and say, hey, you know what? Chill out, it's gonna be fine. No, you feel either the butterflies or your tummy tight, like, oh, I'm so nervous. Well, it's also known as the storehouse for memories, emotions, experiences. It's where we feel our deepest wisdom and intuitions, like when we know we're trying to, I don't know, I just got that gut feeling. Well, there's your gut feeling, the explanation for your gut feeling. These two are up to something here. I've been taking them through the slides, and now they are holding hands. So, yep, your heart knows things that your mind can't explain. Now, my experience with yoga and mental health, beyond what research says or you know what the book says, what happened when I started to include yoga in counseling settings. So I have trained in different styles of yoga, as you know, Amber mentioned at the beginning. But the main one I use is restorative yoga with a mix of trauma-informed yoga. I use a lot of props. I combine meditation, grounding, as a way to quiet the mind and to target the body, to relax it in a deep way. The props, I love the props. I can't have enough props. So they support our practice. They support the body, minimizing muscular tension or contraction. And it helps the body and the nervous system to relax. In my experience as a restorative instructor, I see a huge impact that using props has on people's relaxation response. They enhance the sense of comfort and especially the sense of feeling safe. Well, reason why I became a Half Moon and Lotus Wrap ambassador. A few months ago, I had a series of yoga sessions with the South Mental Health team with Vancouver Coastal Health. So I had a group of women that are in the, addiction world, and also with a deep history of trauma. So at some point, what I aim is also to help them retrain their bodies. And I say it in this way to them. I said, what happens? What do you feel if you put your hands like this? They know me. They know I'm not going to hurt them. But they said, yeah, I don't know. I feel uneasy. Okay, what if you put your hands down here? Yeah, it feels better. So in some of the yoga postures, actually, I ask them to, they are lying on their backs, chest is open, hands are up. But this is extremely uncomfortable for them. But the second that I put a sandbag in their hands, they are still in the same pose, but just by having the sandbags in their hands, they feel a sense of safety and comfort. So there are many little details that you need to be aware if you're guiding somebody with yoga to target emotions or trauma. And one of them, as I said, the use of props has shown, to me at least, amazing benefits for people. Some images of restorative yoga for some of you that may not be very familiar with them. These are some pictures of how restorative yoga and meditation could look. So a little bit more about my yoga sessions that are really a reflection of my beliefs, and really are a melting pot of everything that I believe. So, is that me? Oh my God. Sorry. Well, I have actually held yoga sessions with people who are hearing, deaf, and hard of hearing. With male and females, ages 15 to seniors, variety of mental health issues. My yoga classes and individual sessions are really a result of a melting pot of previous trainings in both fields, counseling and yoga, that align and target healing through the body-mind connection. My yoga-infused counseling sessions, either in a group of one-on-one, are a mix of traditional yoga philosophy and all the trainings I have taken that align with mind-body connection concept. And as I mentioned to you, I love props, just love them. And the other little thing I do is that I bring up all your senses. When I'm in the class, I bring up, your sense of smell, what you hear, what you feel, tactile, everything. And I will tell you why. The use of language. That's very, very important for me. You will never hear me saying in a yoga class or in a one-on-one setting, you're struggling. Push harder. No. I will use positive language. I respect any other type of class or style of, but for me, the power of the language has proven to be very strong. I've never forgotten, I was taking this first aid training, and at some point, the instructor mentioned that if you have somebody in a very critical situation, lying on the floor, in an emergency, he said to us, be very careful what you say in front of that person, because what you will say could kill that person. So we are not very familiar, probably, with the impact that our language has, language even that we use for our thinking and how we speak to each other or to ourselves. So last month I was in the States. I was in Colorado Springs, finishing my training in rapid resolution therapy, and I had the opportunity to discuss with one of my colleagues there, Mary Bowles, she's a neuropsychotherapist, and we were talking about yoga. And by the way, one of the reasons why I follow, for example, this training is because it targets what's happening below your level of consciousness, body-mind again, and something else that I also use in yoga. And what she told me after everything I told her that I do in my yoga classes, the language, the spiking up the senses and everything, she said, Claudia, what you do is that you're enhancing neuroplasticity. You're helping people to create new paths to incorporate new experiences. So creating new networks and to replace what no longer serves you. So for example, one of my yoga classes, I have people, they have already gone through the grounding and they are feeling relaxed. And at some point I said, okay, so now you may take a quick scan of your mind, your body, and find at least one positive sensation, feeling, emotion. As simple as this could be, like, oh, I feel so quiet right now. Whatever it is that is positive. And I do this a few times during my class, so you start learning to shift your attention into positive. So you're creating new pathways to look for the positive. Bring up all the senses. So when I said I bring up all the senses, okay, look for a positive sensation, maybe the smell in the room, maybe, and at the same time, how does it feel? So she told me, okay, so neurons that fire together, they wire together. So if you're using, okay, have this image or the best time in your life, and which color would you bring to this image? So you're using two different networks there. So you're firing together and linking them together to make it stronger. And she said, the more that you think about something ideally positive, the glial cells that she told me really are like glue. The more you think about something, the more you repeat something, basically you're gluing that experience in your brain to make it stick. So that's why if you tend to be a negative person and you keep thinking about the negative over and over and over, what you're doing is that you're gluing it more and more and more. So again, now that you know that you have this power, why don't you use it to your benefit? It's free. Now, suggestions for mental health professionals and yoga instructors, because what I aim to do is like, hey, let's get together, mental health professionals, yoga instructors, studio owners. Now that we know that all of this is something that we can do together, okay, let's get together. For mental health professionals, get familiar with your community yoga studios, with yoga classes, yoga instructors, and find a loving yoga mentor. Get together and see who aligns with your trainings, your beliefs. And this is for each other, for yoga instructors and for mental health professionals. For mental health professional, if interested in taking a yoga teacher training, don't feel discouraged, but the 200 hours is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. I mean, if you as a counselor may want to actually engage into, okay, finish my 200 hours, okay, I can do yoga and mental health, no. Unless you have a lot of years of experience being in touch with people, learning to see their body language, how they react, and especially what people brings to you, because the learning happens from each other, right? We go in sync here. For yoga instructors or studio owners, get in touch with mental health resources in your community and explore possible working connections, maybe mental health settings, something that is around your community. And in general, when a mental health professional is suggesting go and do yoga, consider that financially may not be so very easy for some people. Consider, childcare, family responsibility, etc. And one of the most important things to highlight is the need to make yoga-based interventions accessible and inclusive. And, well, you can read by yourself. So how would you like guys to engage in a very little exercise related to neuroplasticity, enhancing the neuroplasticity? So it will take just a couple of minutes. For my deaf friends, I will suggest you keep your eyes open so you can be sure of what the interpreters are explaining. And for the hearing, I may want to suggest, if you want to close your eyes, awesome. If you don't, just do how you feel. I would like you to think about, let's start with the breathing. So females, girls, please place your hands or think about bra strap. And gentlemen, you can think bra strap too. So the idea is that when you're breathing, our precious pranayama, is that when you breathe in, your ribs should barely expand. What mainly expands as you breathe in is your belly. Think about your belly as a little balloon. So you breathe in and you're inflating this balloon. And as you breathe out, your belly contracts. So take a deep breath in and a deep breath. I would like you to think about this image that represents the best of you in terms of well-being. Continue breathing and have this image in your visual screen. Breathe into it, take a deep breath in and a deep breath. On your next breath, please add a color to your image. And if you wish so, add a scent. And take a deep breath in. Think color, scent, and a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, think release what no longer serves you. Inhale your image, color, scent. Exhale, release what no longer serves you. And one more deep breath in. And keep that image, the scent, that color with you. And slowly, on your own time, you can start opening your eyes. And may the love, laugh, and health be with you through the journey of life. Namaste.